Hi, welcome to Costpoint 8.2 mini little bootcamp. We just want to go over some stuff with you to help you in your upgrade process. Agenda, we're going to go over InfoTech Consulting, some key impacts, some key changes, and then what are the next steps. Hi, I'm Shirley McNeil. I'm a CPA in Virginia. I'm a certified information technology professional and a certified global management accountant. I've been working with InfoTech for 8 years, and I've been working in the Deltech industry since version 2 of Costpoint back in 1995. About InfoTech Consulting, we're founded in 2006, and we're an award-winning partner. We work with a bunch of different industry. We have over 30 employees. We are a proud Deltech Premier Partner, and we got a lot of awards over the years at the ProjectCon. Let's go over the key impact for all users that this upgrade impacts. The first thing you're going to find is that when we log into Costpoint for the very first time, you will be prompted to enter the system name. So system administrators need to provide you with that if you don't already know it. So this is the way the Deltech screen looks. It's got the system name first, and then you get to pick whether you're logging in with SSO, use the pass key or biometrics, or enter a password. Let your system administrators let you know which your company is using. And then let's jump right into timesheets. The timesheet screen has changed. I think it's changed for the better. It gives you more real estate as you move your timesheet around the screen. The system was designed so that you have to scroll less. So it's a very effective use of the real estate. It's also different colors, prettier. The big changes are in this area here. It is more streamlined. You have your sign button. You still have your request time off if your company has enabled that. You have, of course, new if you need to use that. And then there's a more option. So some of the things that used to be buttons individually are now moved to the more. So in the more option on that drop down, you have your charge favorites, your leave to track your leave if your company has enabled that, work schedule, and pay type summary. You can use your forward and next buttons to scroll through existing header records. You can also change it to table view, and then the query is the same. There is a new, some of the information that had been displayed is now in an info card. So in order to see that information, there's a little info card, and it's got your resource ID, your name, your status. It's got your class. If anybody ever asks you for that information, that's where you find out. The timesheet lines themselves, while they have a little bit of a different look and feel, they work the exact same way. You can highlight a row over here in the select status and then add that line to your favorites. You can add a line as well to your timesheet, and that works just as normal as it has. The thing is if you need to edit your charge favorites, you do need to hit the more button and then go down to this option for charge favorites. Timesheet corrections look a little bit different. There's the button for correct is only eligible if that timesheet period is open for corrections. And it's a big red button to correct. And if you correct something inadvertently and don't want to actually correct it, you can do the uncorrect button will appear. The expense, there's no changes to the user interface. It looks just like it had. So there's no need to really publicize it. There are some new options that's really cool. The capture receipt option is available in the mobile expense, where it does the intelligent character recognition to process expense reports or process that image. If you want to enable that, just contact us. We can help you implement that for your employees. So now we're going to go over the key impact for the users, the accounting users, and people that are going to be in Costpoint on a regular basis. Costpoint has changed over the years. If you have been using Costpoint for a long time, you remember the days where the domains had these cute little icons. I kind of miss those. I miss the people icon and the projects icon. Then we switched over to just folders, and the icons have changed over the years, and the screens themselves have changed over the years. So this is just like any other change. We just, our brains have to get used to the new methodology. And it's improving it and improving the user interface over the years. So let's go to Costpoint and look at some 8.2 stuff. So again, this is a timesheet. You can add a line easily and your queries look the same, where it gives you the charge lookup, the charge favorites, or you can always hit the query button to look up things by projects or charge descriptions. So let's go look at the overall interface. All right, so let's start in the upper left-hand corner and kind of do this in an organized manner. The hamburger icon here is collapse or hide the menu. Now the menu that is a flyout menu, and you can collapse it or hide it as you desire. The file line option, process, and help are the same as they've always been. We now have a new drop down here that has your user ID that you're logged in as, which is nice. And then you do the drop down button and it gives you the options of telling you what the company name, which is important if you've got multi-company, the system name, which is important so that you can check whether you're in a test database or your production database or your config database. So that is really important. And then you have color themes. We now have the option of going dark if you like that. So if you click on the dark mode, it brings up the dark mode in Costpoint. So for those of us who deal with the computer all day long, that might be something that you want. The auto button does it based on your Windows settings. If you are capturing screen images for auditing purposes, you probably want to switch back to the light mode because it captures images better. Auto positioning is defaulted as on, and it helps fully utilize the space that the window is in. And then you can view applications, close applications, and close. And you still have access to configure user preferences. For those of you who have multiple entities, not necessarily multiple company, but multiple entities, and you have to change your reporting company, you have to use this option here to configure user preferences to go to that. You can no longer use the star icon. So reporting company, you do a lookup and you pick the company that you want to report on, either you want on your blank checks or the company that you want on the header of your reports. The other advantage of using this option for configure user preferences is down here in the My Menu, you can copy and paste. So if you like somebody else's My Menu, you can get it in Excel and then copy and paste it in. And do close out of this after you're done with it. If you don't, you can get, the system can lock up if you're trying to do some of the other stuff with the My Menu that is now available. All right, so the next set of icons over here is the company, select company information. So those of you who are multi-company will get this option, and you can change companies and stuff like that. And of course, this is the power button, which is the same as it always has been, and you log out. That's how you gently log out of Costpoint instead of closing the browser window, as always. Next set of things is we've got the search, which we've had for years and years and years. However, if I type in project, the new advantage of the screen is that I get to show the next 10 applications, which is super handy if you have like 10 or 15 applications and you're just trying to find the one that you're looking for. It's not really helpful when there's 130 of them. So of course the project word, there's a lot of project applications, so you may need to narrow that search down a little bit. But it does allow you to scroll up and down this list to try to find what you're looking for. Those icons are the same as they have been in 8.1, so there's no icon changes. you have the home button is the same. The star button is now a little bit different. It takes you directly to my menu, and then the configuration at the bottom allows you to manage my menu really easily. My menu appears over here in the right section, and it's super easy now to add things to my menu. If I go back to view standard billing history, which is one of the new screens, I can, in my open applications, there's a star button. I click on this add application to my menu. And then if I flip back to the home screen, I now have a new my menu. So my menu is a lot easier to establish for yourself. And you can have you can delete from this list, you can add to it easily. And then these are called banners if you've never seen the banners. So within the My Menu, this flyout button is Launch Navigation Banner. If you haven't used navigation banners, they're really handy. We can help you set them up if you need help, but they allow you to navigate through steps in a process. So it's really good for training new accounts payable people or new people with journal entries. It helps you navigate through the steps, and you can always close them and close that action as well. The system does do a recent activity. So if you're constantly in 2 or 3 screens, this can be really helpful because then you can just open up the screen from the recent activity listing. So the system does have my menu over here, and it is grouped by my applications and then by these banners. These are called header records. You can edit the My Menu pretty easily by clicking on the little setting button up there. You can move things around and reorder them. You can edit the name so that it says, hey, enter your timesheet instead of just timesheet. You can remove it if you are no longer using that screen to clean up your My Menu section. One of the things that we, let me get back into sub periods for a second. One of the things that we lost, or not lost, but in the My Menu section, you don't have a close or a close all for these applications that are open on the open applications, not under My Menu, but under open applications. If you want to close all your open applications, you can do the open application button, which we've always had, and do a close all, and it'll close all your applications, so that if you end up with 50 things in open applications, it's easier to close them all here before you log out. So our menu, our domains have changed a little bit on how we access it. We've got accounting. These are the same domains that we've always had, and the domains that will show up for you are the domains that you have application rights to, so that hasn't changed. They are now flyout menus, so as I navigate through the domains, the modules, the application groups, and then finally I get to the actual applications, that it just is a little bit different of a breadcrumb trail. I do have the ability to add something from this menu to the My Menu if I want to. It makes it really quick and easy. Let's go into one of the screens to look at some of the difference of the screens. So I'm going to use my, I didn't talk about this button. This is the show welcome screen. So if I'm in manage vendors and I need to get back to the My Menu screen, I click on this button and it goes back to the welcome screen. The other thing is over here on the right, I can pin this menu, or I can always bring it out by using the hamburger icon and bring it in and out if you don't want to display it. So I'm going to go back to my open application 2 ways, either that icon or my open application here, go to my vendors, and let's look at some of the screen changes that we have. There is now a new find button up here. The advantage of the find is if you look at it, it has the vendor ID and the name together. And if I do A it brings up whether the A is in the vendor ID or the A is in the vendor name. And it does it with contains, so it makes it easy to find it. I can then click on the record and it'll bring up that particular record. The other advantage is if I hit the find record button, it adds that find to the query so that it's the vendor ID is like A and the name is like A. And then I can adjust the query as necessary to further refine my searches. So I find that really advantageous, especially in projects. If I am looking for something specific that's across multiple fields, so that is pretty handy. And then you can edit it here. But in order for it to, let me reset. In order right now, if I just type it in and don't click on the find records and I go to the query is blank. And by doing that, I have the availability of using the historical find and of course the historical query. Let's look at some other screen changes. You can still hit the right mouse button to sort things A and Z, or you can do the little drop down to do the sort or bind or replace or whatever you want to do, those standard functions that we had access to. There is a new feature here called Enable Multi-Row Selection. I'm not really sure how much that buys you because you've always had that option, but it's a little bit clearer that you're selecting that. So if I disable multi-row selection, refresh my query, I could still do control click to select multiple rows. So it's just a little bit different way depending on your user preference, whatever makes it easier for you to do. And what else? There are new screens available. We're not going to spend the time to go over all of the new, all of the new reports and stuff. Please read the release notes to get that information. And if you're over the general ledger, definitely go in and look at your reports and look at your sections under general ledger reports and inquiries. There's some new stuff. There's some new reports. So like print year-to-date comparative financial statements, that's new. If you read the release notes and there's a new feature that you don't see enabled for your user ID, it is possible that you need to get with your system administrators because each of these applications is a different application ID. And if you've been granted rights not to the module but to specific applications, you may need to get your system administrator to give you rights to those screens. The same thing for projects and accounts payable. There's a lot of new stuff in there. But hopefully this gets you to the point where you feel comfortable navigating back and forth. Do note that your breadcrumb trails still work. So if I need to go back up into the accounts payable module, it'll bring up the flyout. If I need to go back all the way to accounting, it'll bring out that accounting flyout. So note that normal navigation that we've always had is still there. And two just reminders, click on this show welcome screen to get back to the main your main welcome screen, and then use this button over here to bring up your navigation menu. All right, let's go back and look at some other enhancements that were done in the system that affect more specific users, but it's some key changes that you need to know about. We now have the ability to do interactive emails. They're really cool. This is an example of the floor check one where I failed a floor check and it sent me an email saying, hey, fill out your timesheet, and here is a form to use to fill out your timesheet. It does have of course, being able to do notes and everything that's in the regular, like if you actually logged into Costpoint. They're also there for approve and deny workflow steps, and it just makes it a little bit easier so people don't have to log in separately. These interactive emails are only available in the GCC environment. They're not eligible in the GCCM environment if you have GCCM. There's pre-configured approval workflows. These are really nice. It enhances how long it takes to get approvals and makes them more automated. So there's an approval AP, journal entries, PO vouchers, and standard bills. There's a knowledge base article on how to set this up. And if you have questions, of course, you can always contact us. One of the big changes is Costpoint has been over the years trying to get things more multi-user reporting instead of single user posting and reporting. So billing was one of those areas where you would get error message if you're in California and somebody is in Virginia trying to post at the same time you are, you would get an error message that says, hey, Joe is trying to post, and you would have to wait. Well, now you can go ahead and do your job and they can do their job, but the system does it. There's a change in the way that you collect your journals for audit because of this multi-user reporting and posting. When you go in and you're about to post a journal and you print the standard journal, you would get the posting sequence number. So it would be a full posting, and then you would save that and keep it for auditors in case you ever needed it. Now, because multiple people can be posting at the same time and printing their journals at the same time, it does posting sequence 0. And then when you go to actually print post, click the gears, the print post standard bills, you don't have a print option anymore. You just have print post. And then the system places your posting in a queue. And this is just an example of the queues that they created. They're over in the job queues and they have a $sign in front of them, and it's based on application name. And so this is the billing journal posting, which happens to be BLP Gen. And the system will tell you your place in the queue, and then once it completes, it'll give you a journal that'll print to your desktop or save to your desktop that'll be posting sequence number 8. Or whatever that next sequence is. So that Joe can still do his, and he's posting sequence number 7 because he was the first in the queue, and now I post and I get posting sequence number 8. So you do need to save, if you're saving your journals, you do need to save these final journals and not the interim journals. It's still a good idea to print the interim journal to make sure that your selection criteria is correct, but do keep in mind that you need to keep the final one. There's another advantage of this this multi-posting where multiple people can post at the same time or print reports. It gives you the place in the queue, and then you can run it in background. So I don't have to sit there and wait for my place in the queue and leave my computer on that screen. I can click the run in background, and then the system will go off and do its thing, and then I just wait for it to be finished. And to see how your personal queue items are running in the background, you go to the icon that looks like a little timer and click on that. And then once you get to that view action and report status, you click the lightning bolt, and then the system will tell you that, okay, post standard bills, I kicked it off at such and such a time and it's completed. So it's really advantageous to be able to see that your processes are completed. And then you know that you can move on to your next task, or you already, because you ran it in background, you were already doing your next task. The other big change that everybody needs to know about is the project manage, in the projects area, the manage project user flow. There were a lot of people over the years that used the Cobra mapping value because it was even if you didn't use Cobra, it was a field on the project table and on the project master file, and they used that. They kind of, stole that field and used it for something else. Well, in 8.2, that COBRA mapping value is no longer on the project master file. So if you had been using that for your reporting and using it for something else and you're not licensed for COBRA, then you probably need to move that field if you want to continue using it, move the data that's in that field to another field within the project master file that still exists, or the UDEF. So if you're using that, you need to get on that, moving it. The other thing, it's not new, but I wanted to bring it up, is the project roles. The project roles are now being used for BI, or can be used in BI. So you probably need to do a little bit of research on the project roles and how they work. They're also used for the workflows. So project roles are becoming a bigger deal in 8.2. Everything else is the same. There was a major change in accounts receivable in cash receipts. It now the cash receipt screen behaves more like open accounts payable than just a journal like it used to be. So in the invoice information, there's a cash account that you put in there based on the managed transfer accounts, and you can pick one of the existing cash account descriptions, which is a combination of account org, or this cash account is picked up from the a configuration, the accounts receivable configuration screens. An advantage now is we have the check number is up to 40 characters long. So you can put in better descriptions of like this was ACH or whatever kind of description you want. And this is only the check number on accounts receivable. The check number on AP still hasn't changed. Amount received, you would typically put that in, hit the select the voucher that you wanted to apply it, and accept receipts. When you hit this accept receipt button, there is a difference in the screen. Used to, you would see the debits and the credits under the cash receipt line. Now you only see the invoice information, and in order to see the balanced transaction, you have to do the transaction amount, the receipt total has to go there. And you can do a quick cash receipt edit to make sure that it looks correct. That's a new thing. But do note that it's a little bit disturbing to only see one line on the cash receipt instead of two lines as we're used to. So this is what the quick cash receipt edit report. It's a grouping by cash account, and it does do the debits and the credits correctly. If you notice here, this may be a little bit confusing, is the invoice amount is a positive amount, and it is actually being a credit in the system. So don't be alarmed by that. The other advantage, I just am personally happy about this, that I can reprint cash receipt edit report. You can do posted or unposted, but you can now do posted. So I'm particularly pleased with that. So I included it in the presentation. The other thing I'm super happy about that makes life a lot easier is the project bill info change for cost plus fixed fee projects. It now lets you have, like we had in revenue for years, on the billing side, you can now split the labor fee and the non-labor fee. Super helpful. This prevents us from having to put in all the ceilings and overrides and everything else that we used to have to do to have labor fee at 1% and non-labor fee at a different percent. The conversion of the data, what Costpoint does from a conversion standpoint or upgrade standpoint is whatever you had in that single fee becomes the fee for both. So if you do have a non-labor fee that's different than the labor fee, you'll have to go in and edit those billing formats, but the historical data would be converted correctly. What else do I need to say on that? The Costpoint will not delete your ceilings. So if you had ceilings and overrides and everything, Costpoint's not going to delete those. They'll still be there, but you may want to delete them to clean it up now that after you test to make sure that this works for your particular company situation. There's also a direct link to the sales tax, which makes it easier to remember that you've got to set up the project sales tax and set the sales tax up. The other thing I'm super happy about is Manage Open Billing Detail now has this handy dandy little hold button. Super happy about that. It is within Manage Open Billing Detail and everybody has access to it, and its sole function is to put something on hold. So you can select 50 items out of Open Billing Detail, hit the hold button, and it will take your hours, put your hours and your amount on hold equal to the transaction amount. If you did have to hold partial amounts, like I'm holding 4,000 out of this 5,000, you have to do that individually, but that's pretty rare. So it holds the entire amount. The other enhancement is there's a release date. So if the project manager says, okay, put this on hold until March 31st, you can go ahead and put that as a release date. And then when you calculate bills, you need to check the box to release holds, and it will release everything as of that specific date. If you don't put a release date in and check that release hold, it'll release all the holds for you. So there's a little bit of art to that. So just be cautious about that when you're playing with it for the first time. There is one calculation change that you need to be aware of. The system now, Revenue has done this for probably since version 7 or something, or like it was at the beginning of 8. The Revenue would calculate based on the modification effective date. Now billing does as well. So if you have future mods that you go ahead and put in the system, when you calculate the bill, it will look at the effective date of the modification to calculate bills. So if your numbers look weird and you're not picking up new funding, just make sure that your effective date is as you expect it to be. There's also something that people have been asking for a while that Deltek is great about doing is the expense with images report. It helps with the billing backup if you're required to send the images as well as the detail. So expense with image report is now available. Purchasing, people have been asking for this for a while, so it's great. There's now an RMA. You can create these RMAs to manage customer returns. You can do it from all sales orders. You can do it, RMAs can be created without sales orders in case you're not using that feature. The system will also email notifications to the customers with the instructions. This just makes it a lot easier. So that's a really good purchasing enhancement that we're happy to have. The other one that I'm happy to have is and a lot of people are happy to have it, when you edit the purchase order and you're in there in manage purchase orders, you can now print a purchase order from manage purchase orders. So there's an option just to directly to go to print. Instead of the queried information, horizontal, vertical, you can actually print the purchase order as it looks. So that's really nice. In business intelligence, we have some streamlined reportings. There is a new menu that you select on the menu, and then everything is tiles in the specific areas and the specific folders. So it makes it a lot easier. Something that we've asked for a while, and most people have custom reports on this, is the project workforce. And the project workforce does include the project labor categories. So that will help some of the reporting that's necessary. There's also an aged open billing detail, which has been something that a lot of people have custom created because it's something that's needed. And then for your project managers, there's a pre-bill report so that they can communicate with you before you start the billing process on what the bill is going to look like. Something else that had been a lot of people have done custom is work hours by day by project, work hours by day by resource. So those are now some of the ones that I wanted to highlight, but there are some additional reports as well as part of the package. If you don't happen to see these in after your 8.1 upgrade or 8.2 upgrade, definitely reach out to Deltek because those are super handy. The last BI change that I want to talk about, although there's a lot of other changes, is role security. That there are now catalogs or frameworks that use project role security. So whoever is in charge of doing your BI settings and stuff, you want to test this before you do it in your production database. You want to test enabling this to make sure people still can get what they need. But I know people have been asking for project role security, and you can now use project role security. So what are the next steps? So we talked about a lot of the changes. One of the questions that we get, the most frequent one, is, do I really have to test? And there's some minimum stuff and then some further testing. So at a minimum, which you may need for auditors because this is an upgrade, you need to do before and after upgrade reconciliations. So look at your schedule, see when you're going to be upgraded. You need to print your key financial metrics, your PSRs, your open AR, open AP, some trial balances, maybe a financials, some leave reports, something out of, payroll and labor, and then any critical BI reports. If I have a client deliverable for a critical BI report, I want to print it before and I want to print it after. And then after you upgrade, print the same reports again, reconcile, make sure everything looks good. Another quick way to validate data is do counts. You're probably not going to have any problems, but it's an audit. It can be a requirement for audit. You want to look at your employee counts, your project counts, your vendors, your customers, any master table that you deal with. You want to do a count of it before and after. Not that the upgrade's going to make you drop a vendor or something, but it's a good way to make sure that all the data that I had before the conversion is there after the conversion. So that's the minimum. Do I really need to do more testing? And the consultant answer is, it depends. So Costpoint 8.2 has been production in like general production release since at least October. We had people going on 8.2 that were converted back in October, and it's quite a few people are on it. So you're not the first that's going on it. So don't be alarmed that I have to do more testing just because it's a new release. However, if you have anything that's off the normal playbook, you need to test. If you're doing anything really unusual in the system, or you've been told, wow, that's unique, you need to test. So some of the examples are revenue. If I'm using anything that's a not transaction-based revenue formula, if I'm using alternative revenue, anything out of the norm, you need to test. Any non-standard workforce, if you're doing anything special with your workforces, you need to test, because the thing is you don't want people to be adversely impacted in T&E. You want that to go really smoothly. Any non-standard billing. So if I'm doing anything super complex or super strange, or I have retainage or I have negative retainage, anything that's out of the norm, you need to test. And also client-facing complex BI reports. If I have a report that's needed so that I get paid on my invoice, you need to test that and make sure that the new frameworks and make sure that the data is there. Just please test that. And then if you have any interfaces, either the ODBC, the JDBC, extensions, the web integration console, you've done anything extension-wise, you need to test that for 8.2 in your environment and make sure that it works. Resources. So contact us. This is our email address for any support that you may need. If you feel like you need a more robust testing checklist than Deltek provided, we're certainly happy to provide that. We can do a system assessment, some walkthroughs, Q&A sessions, going through individual modules with people to talk more about the enhancements and some of the really cool features. some tips and tricks, and we can do, of course, more robust instructor-led training. And the big one, if you're ISO certified at all, is the upgraded Deltek procedure guides. That's a big win. Deltek resources. So the easiest way to do it is do a Google search for Costpoint 8.2 upgrade portal, and it'll take you to this link if you don't want to have to type that link in. You absolutely, as a user of Costpoint, need to go to these resources. So there's a section that's the prior to upgrade. You need to read that. You don't need to read the installation guides unless you're the techie of the group. The backward compatibility, if you're the BI techie of the group, you need to read that. And everybody needs to read the release notes. So when you really read these release notes, you can scroll down to, if you're accounts payable, scroll down to the accounts payable section. But there could be nuggets of information in there. It will help you if you take the time to read the release notes. Deltek did a really good job documenting all the new enhancements by module, all the changes. It's super helpful. There's also videos. So there's a navigation video, planning time, for each of the individual areas. It's probably a good idea to watch the navigation video, although a lot of it will be duplicated from what's in this slide. That's something that you really need to do. The other thing, I'm going to go back to Costpoint for a second. After you're upgraded to 8.2 in your test environments, if you go to the help menu and you go to the videos and learning aids section, scroll down to the Costpoint general information, and there are user interface quick steps. There's query and lookup QRCs. This is just talking about the icons. There's the viewing of the query function, and then the key one to download and have available for yourself is the shortcut keys. For those of you who do a lot of data entry, I know it's important to know the shortcut keys. They haven't changed, but it's a good idea to download that and kind of look over it. And back to this. So definitely do those steps with the Deltek resources. Reach out to us if you need it. And we appreciate you watching this video, and please have a great day.